So let's start off with the Ravens game since that one was first. So you got Ravens Chiefs. There's really nothing to say. There was, how we've always been about the refs this, refs that, helping KC. There really wasn't a whole too much of that this game. I just thought it was very, very lack of discipline with the Ravens. I was frustrating watching this game and frustrating that the coaching staff did not ream them on the sidelines for making these bad decisions. And everybody talking about like the one where Travis Kelce got pushed back by Kyle Van Noy, and Van Noy got flagged and all that. And they're like, oh, well, Kelce started it. Well, yeah, he did. And there should have been something there probably. But it's just like in hockey. The retaliation is going to get the penalty. The retaliation of Van Noy coming in got the penalty. Just tighten it up. Stop. Just why are you doing those things?
So, but on that, what is your thoughts on just especially in games like this, where the emotions are obviously so high because it is, a game,
you're a professional.
One game away from the Super Bowl.
I don't care.
You're a
professional.
I'm saying when it comes to taunting being a penalty. Because we saw, again, people made good points. After every single catch or move that Kelce made, he's taunting like a fucking maniac. The one play that Zay Flowers gets up and spins the ball on the ground, all of a sudden it's 15 yards and that's taunting.
He also, yes, but I agree with that. But where it went past the line, I think they would have let the ball spin happen. And like the initial push off, because the guy had his leg, but it was the standing over him. And look over in the NBA, they don't tolerate that. Like, taunting all day. You'd make a dunk, you grin at them, you show your strength, you flex at them as you're running backwards. But walking over somebody, that's a technical. You don't do that. So being in front of him and standing over him like that to me was just like all those other professional sports, that's crossing the line. So that's where when I saw the flag come out, was not even with the ball, was when he stood over him and was taunting above him. Like, that's where I thought the issue was. And you know what? Regardless, at that point, I don't care, man. Like, I see all the points on everybody's making. Like, that was a good point. And I get that. But you're still a professional football team. You are hindering yourself from winning this football game by making dumb decisions and putting them in prime places to succeed. Oh, buddy, I know you're not happy. You now are tired, probably. But another reason they lost that game is I had just said, like the podcast before, I am on the Lamar passing train. Dear Lord, though, why not run the football? Why not run down their throats? Yes, they were stopping you a little bit, but not enough for you to stop doing that. Like, that blew my mind that they threw the ball so much in that game with Lamar Jackson's legs, and not even just Lamar Jackson. They have Gus Edwards. Where was he? Where was he that game? Like, they barely got it to him.
Yeah, I talked about it on the solo show where it was like like you said, they immediately abandoned the run, even though they rushed for like 10 attempts and all of them were averaging like 5 yards a carry. So it's like, I don't know what. And again, it was a 1 point game or 1 point score game for most of the entire second half of that game. It was. Or I'm sorry, the first half of that game, it was 7-7. Going into the second, KC gets 10 points. They don't score again for the rest of the game. It's Baltimore the entire rest of the game where, they fumble on the goal line. But
that was wild.
Baltimore, again, they had 81 yards rushing. They were averaging 6 yards per play, but yet they only rushed the ball with their running back. With their two running backs, they gave them 6 carries combined.
Which is mind-blowing. Gus Edwards was destroying. And starting off the game with Justice Hill as your starting running back, there had to have been something else going on. Like, I don't understand it. I don't understand why they did not rush the ball with Gus Edwards. He had a phenomenal season. It blew my mind. I don't get it. I thought it was this time around. It wasn't so much, oh, the Chiefs got help, this and that. They got help because the Ravens were just being dumb. They were being dumb in the big moment. And to knock Lamar Jackson totally on this, I don't agree with totally. I mean, it's a lot of the coaching as well, not doing the proper things, not telling the team to calm down. Yes, I know emotions are high, but things change when you're in the game getting ready to go. This isn't a regular season game where it's not going to hurt you so much. Like, this game counts. This game counts. Be better. You're professionals. Figure that shit out. Don't let your emotions get to you. One of my favorite things, I'm going to segue that over to hockey real quick, with the Golden Knights winning the Stanley Cup. One of their main things was don't engage, stay disciplined. One of my favorite hockey moments, honestly, of all time, because it was part of the Knights winning that title last year, was one of their players, Nick Hague, is literally getting punched. Like, he's up against the wall and they're punching him in the face. He's not engaging. He's getting punched repeatedly, just gloves and all, just straight into the chin, and he's smiling and not engaging. What happens? The guy goes to the penalty box. The Knights get a goal. So I love it. That showed discipline, and they won the cup because they showed discipline. They didn't go and let the power plays kill them. That was smart coaching. And you saw all the behind-the-scenes stuff. Stay disciplined. Don't engage. Don't engage. Don't engage. The Ravens engaged every single time, and it hurt them. It frustrated me watching that game. Like, I wanted to go and yell and grab the coach to say, go and grab your player and tell him to calm the fuck down.
Well, it's also that thing where, speaking of coaching, like, I would really love to hear what the game plan was going into this game, because you come in with the number one. Yeah, you come in with the number one rushing attack. You're having early success running the ball. And then you have one of the most electric runners maybe in the history of the NFL. And instead you decide to just throw a deep seam route to your tight end in triple coverage. Like,
doesn't make sense. Anyway,
why are we
so that's my thoughts on that game. So kudos to the Chiefs. They did what they needed to do. They did not engage that much, or they were always
also
never retaliated.
Last little bit on the Ravens. So this game, we just said they gave 6 carries to their running back. Against Houston last week, they gave the ball to 3 running backs for a total of 32 times.
Yeah, it was like 31 times or something. So 32 times. Mind blowing. And
they were averaging less per carry in that game than they did in this game.
I don't know. This was to me all coaching, as well as the next game. So let's move into that next game. As frustrated as I am for the Ravens game, I am more frustrated about this. And this is not just because the Lions were my pick. My God, I'm so frustrated. The Niners, they played well. Like, coming back in the second half, they did what they needed to do on offense, and they tore apart that defense. And we were worried about that. I know you were worried about that. But where I was,
but then you see the first half and it's 24-7, and you're just like, oh my God.
And I thought a lot of that was having to do with the offense was moving the ball. The offense was moving the ball, and they did what they needed to do. I thought this was going to be more of an offensive battle. That was my whole thing. Was yes, you brought about the Lions defense not being great, and I was like, that's fair. But can Brock Purdy and this offense keep up with Jared Goff and the Lions offense? It all went south when Dan Campbell decided to go for that. Instead of making it a 3-score game again and being in the league lead, and then your rushing attack was doing really well, why not just keep rushing, go up 3 scores, and then rush. You can ball control. Like, you can get into the fourth quarter guaranteed pretty much at that point with at least a 1-score lead. And So going for that, I understand your point. I listened to you and I wanted to yell at you so bad through the goddamn video phone that, or the phone on the video that, yes, it got him there being aggressive, but it's a different game. It's a different game. It's a different, you are up 3 scores. It's a different situation. That's when you start being conservative. He agrees. When you start being conservative and you're like, okay, now let's just win this game. Let's kill this clock. Time management. We're up 3 scores. We're still moving the ball on offense. Let's just keep this lead as long as we can. And if we have to make this big decision to go for it on 4th on another time, we will. And it really, really frustrated me that they went for that, because that's when the wheels went off.
See, I disagree when that's when the wheels went off, and I disagree that you dance with the one who brung you, right? That's the saying. So all year
in that game, though,
you win or lose by your strategy, and the strategy didn't work this time, but his strategy got them to 1 game away from the Super Bowl. And I also think the turning point turning point was the Brock Purdy interception that hit the Lions guy right in the face mask and then bounced into Ayuk's hand, and all of a sudden they have a touchdown.
That's fair, but that drive was also going very well for him. Why? Because they had momentum. They got a 4th and 2 stop. They got a 4 down stop. That is huge. That is momentum. In that crowd, that crowd was dead. You gave them a little bit of life. You go up 3 scores, you kick that field goal, you go up 3 scores. That you guarantee you're starting the next drive with the fans not excited, with the team feeling down. Oh, now we have to get 3 scores instead of, oh, we got this 4th down stop. All we have to do is get the ball down, go down and score, and now we're within a touchdown. Now we're within 1 touchdown. You gave them momentum. I do not agree with you at all on that. And then going towards the 4th, and this isn't me not knocking San Fran. This is me knocking Dan Campbell's decisions in this game particular. I liked his aggressiveness all throughout the season, but in this game, to guarantee you a Super Bowl spot, you didn't have to do those things. So now you're down 10 points in the 4th, or whatever. Down 3. Yeah, you were down 3, and you try to go for a 4th and 8, or whatever it was. Ridiculous. I don't understand. It was something 4th and whatever. It's been a week now. I don't agree with that call either, because you tie the game, and if they come down and score, you still have time to go back down, and you don't have to worry about doing an onside kick. Look what happened. The Niners, when they missed that, what did they do? They came down, scored, made it a 10-point game. The Lions drove back down. They got their touchdown, but the time was too late to do an onside kick. So another that I don't agree with, where they had a chance to be able to come back down, at least put it into overtime. So I don't agree with either one of those 4th down calls at all. And he almost made it again. He almost made the mistake again to go for it on that one. But, dude, I don't agree with those calls. You were up. You could have been up 3 scores. You could have drowned the clock with your running game, which was being very successful, by the way. So I had trouble with those decisions all day.
I'll say this, and you briefly mentioned it in the Chiefs-Ravens game, but both games, penalty-wise, pretty clean. Like, nothing egregious, nothing to talk about.
Nothing.
Like,
I felt like they did a really good job. I blame both the Ravens. This was like just the week before as well, where the Niners won and the Chiefs won. It's the other team being their own worst enemy.
Yeah.
The Chiefs and Niners should not be in the Super Bowl. Are they really good teams? Did they do what they needed to do to get in? Yes, they did. But they were helped multiple times by the 4 other teams that screwed the pooch, because apparently they're just too young. The coaching wasn't right. Time management, too aggressive, whatever it may be, not undisciplined. At least the Niners and the Chiefs, they may not be the best teams. Obviously, they're in the Super Bowl, but they had those right things going for them. They were disciplined. They were being smart with their ball when they had it on offense. Their coaching stayed, even keeled the entire time. So that's I think the other teams had more talent in certain spots, but they lacked in other spots that caused their own demise. And then the team that was really well balanced and staying focused through the entire game, the Chiefs and the Niners deserve to be in the Super Bowl because they kept even keeled through under pressure every single time. That's my take on that.
Yeah.
So that's not me.
But now,
even though, fucking moving on. That was
to
good.
address the videos I did without you, do you agree with my take that this is, of all the potential matchups we could have gotten, this is the least interesting?
By far. I have no care in the world to watch this one. I said I would root for one player. I want to see Purdy, Mr. Irrelevant, do it just because it's kind of cool. Like Tom Brady is in a very similar situation. Plus, I'm tired of the Brock Purdy hate. I think he's actually a really good quarterback, and he's shown it with his numbers in the last 2 seasons. He's crushing it with his numbers. Like, he's still a rookie, people. Like, understand that. And yet he still has these numbers. Took him to an NFC championship and now the Super Bowl. Like, how can you not be big on this guy?
I also I picked both games right, Casino, because I said we can't have nice things.
Fuck off.
And here we are without nice things.
I win the regular season, you win the playoffs. That's how it goes.
I mean, that is. But you can still tie if we end up having the same Super Bowl pick, which I don't know who you're picking. Save it, because we're going to do our Super Bowl picks a week from now.
I picked the Lions.
Next Friday's show. Yeah. But right now, if you said you had a rooting interest in Brock Purdy, is there, I said this in the last video, is there any likable people on either side you're rooting for? I think for me, I agree with you. I think it's just maybe Brock Purdy, maybe Christian McCaffrey. That's it. They seem like the only
McCaffrey's never won one, right?
No,
McCaffrey never won one. Yeah, so you know what? I mean, I don't. Whatever McCaffrey's, I don't know if he's a douchebag or not, but he has the talent to back it up. So yeah, no, Purdy, because Mr. Irrelevant, I think that'd be a cool story and to shut everybody up. I hope he throws for 4 touchdowns. And then McCaffrey, I mean, look at his career. He is one of the most versatile and iconic running backs in the last 2 decades that just thinking about it, that's when I really understood football, was say the last 2 decades, a little bit more, but he's got to be in the top 3 iconic running backs that just stick out.
Yeah. But it's crazy to think that, first off, we could have had a Super Bowl where you're rooting. I mean, if the roles were reversed and going into this Super Bowl, it was Ravens Lions, and it was everybody's rooting for Lamar, everybody's rooting for the Lions, and it's this excitement where it's, these 2 newish teams. Lions have obviously never been there. The Lamar Jackson Ravens have never been there. And then it's new blood. And then you even go further back. You go to the divisional round. And I mean, remember when everybody was hyped about the Packers? I mean, there was that graphic, I believe it was on the pre-show or whatever, where 7 of the 8 analysts were picking the Packers to beat the 49ers, and then that almost happened. So we literally had 2 weeks ago where it was, maybe the Bills, maybe the Lions, maybe this young Texans or Packers team, maybe Lamar finally gets
when
there.
It was fun.
All these really interesting storylines where it's everybody loves CJ Stroud, everybody loves Lamar Jackson, everybody, oh my God, Jordan Love, this Bucks team with Baker, all these young exciting
Packers team, Josh Allen finally does it with the Bills. Finally.
And we're back to a matchup from 4 years ago that is a Super Bowl. I do not remember. Even though I watched the whole thing, I don't remember one thing from it except the end where Jimmy Garoppolo misses the pass.
It's so funny when you when you mentioned, I think on the last your solo pod, when you said Jimmy Garoppolo, versus Mahomes, I was like, oh shit, I forgot Jimmy G made it to a Super Bowl. Like
Yeah.
it's that memorable to me, right? Ugh.
He missed that throw, remember, down the left-hand side to the guy who was like wide open, and that's basically why they lost the game. And then
No, I
they
don't recall it.
also
I don't.
they had a 10-point lead, and then they gave it up to the Chiefs, which my Eagles also did. So misery loves company, I'm sure, but I don't know who I'm picking in the Super Bowl. I legitimately don't, but I know,
I
I
know
just
who I am.
know in my heart I'm not going to enjoy this Super Bowl. There's no way this is an all-time classic. And if it is, I'll come on this show and I'll eat dog food. Okay? That's my
You've
bet.
promised a
Christina.
lot on this show, and you have not followed up on
But
it.
that's only because I don't remember. Not because I won't do them. But so I will eat dog food on this show if I come on here and I'm like, that was one of the top 5 best Super Bowls I've ever watched in my life. Okay? A top 5. Because again, comment section of last video was like, this is going to be a great Super Bowl. I don't know what you're talking about. Like, okay. For that guy, I will eat dog food if it's a top 5 Super Bowl I've ever seen. Putting
Fair
that
enough.
out there.